Ahead of Game 4 of the Western Conference Final, Ryan Rishaug alongside Pierre LeBrun here in Edmonton. Oilers with a 2-1 lead in the series, Pierre, looking to put their foot on the throats of the Dallas Stars. Let's start with the injury updates that we have. What we know, Matthias Ekholm will not be in the lineup tonight. Roope Hintz will be a game-time decision, but interestingly, Hintz was not on the ice this morning.
Yeah, and you got to be careful not to put too much into that. I mean, that can go two ways. Either he's not as close to returning as we think, or he just doesn't want to stress that situation injury-wise and wants to keep it for warm-up tonight. I think it's probably the latter.
Okay, to the Oilers' goaltending, Calvin Pickard, so good when he was in. He's healthy and ready to back up for Stuart Skinner, but he doesn't get his net back. I can't imagine a goaltender undefeated in the postseason when he's ready to go doesn't get his net back. But Stuart Skinner, as the starter on this team, was all year long, and he's done some pretty impressive things here lately. But an interesting dynamic there, Pierre, and maybe this is where it pays off, that Skinner and Pickard are really tight. They understand the way this works.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Almost any other team in the league with Calvin Pickard's record in these playoffs, he'd probably be back in net. But it is a 1A, 1B situation, and Skinner's the 1A, and the 1A is on fire right now for the Edmonton Oilers, so you understand why you're not going to change the goaltending. I'll say this, and you cover this team. I find it interesting whenever you talk to the Edmonton Oilers players about their goaltending, they always make sure to include both Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard in their answer. Yep. It's like a stock answer.
Yeah, no, that's a good observation.
I think they have faith in both.
Yeah, they definitely do. Connor Brown not available for this game after taking the hit from Petrovic in game number 3. Viktor Arvidsson will draw back in. And this is the interesting thing about this Oilers team, Pierre. So you have a player who's contributing in this postseason, right? Brown's a really good penalty killer. He scored some goals. You lose a player like that, and sitting there waiting, I mean, Kris Knoblauch has a choice between 16-goal scorer Jeff Skinner, 15-goal scorer Viktor Arvidsson. Leon Draisaitl talked about that today. And it's interesting because Arvidsson might come in on the second line. He might come in on the fourth line. The depth of this Oilers team shows on a day like this.
Yeah, he's been comfortable both playing with Draisaitl and Janmark, so it doesn't really matter where he ends up. But I think it's time to make this argument here. I think this team is deeper than the one that went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final a year ago.
Up front, I agree.
So those are good options. Arvidsson's a former 30-goal scorer. He's not that player anymore. I get it, but he's still a smart player who's played a lot of playoff games in his days in Nashville. Pretty good option for Kris Knoblauch.
Okay, the Oilers in games 4 through 7 under Knoblauch are 16-2. The deeper the series goes, the more the Oilers can find their game, steady themselves, and really lean into it, Pierre. It's an impressive statistic, and one that Kris Knoblauch believes is just born out of the sheer experience that they have in that room.
Yeah, and I think that's valuable. I mean, Zach Hyman talked today about the fact that going to Game 7 of the Cup Final, this team has seen it all. They're comfortable in these situations. It's another day at the office for the Oilers. I guess the counter to that is something's going to have to give here because the Dallas Stars have also played a lot of playoff games. Their third straight trip to the Western Conference Final. They went to the Cup Final in the bubble. They won't blink either. So it's interesting to me that often you get this far in the playoffs and there's a team that shows its inexperience or starts to panic. You're not going to see that from Dallas. You're obviously not going to see that from Edmonton. So I think we're in store for a heck of a game here tonight.
What do you make of Zach Hyman leading the playoffs in hits by a mile? This wasn't necessarily the style that he played during the regular season here, Pierre, and he's been asked about it pretty much every day here. And he wanted to point out that the entire team is doing a better job of being physical, but this is a fundamental shift in the way you're thinking shift after shift. He's finishing every single check. What do you make of that from a guy that scores goals?
Well, I'll tell you right now, Ryan, if Zach Hyman played this style in the regular season, he'd be retired right now because you can't do that over 82 games. The level of physical commitment that it takes to be a human wrecking ball like Zach Hyman has been in these playoffs is unbelievable, and it takes its toll. So, yeah, you can do it in a playoff run, and boy, has he ever. I mean, every defenseman on L.A. and Vegas and Dallas knows Zach Hyman's name coming on the forecheck, that's for sure. But it's a playoff thing. It's not something you're going to see all year long.
All right, pivotal game, swing game. It's either going to be 2-2 or the Oilers are going to have a stranglehold on this thing heading back to Dallas. Tune into SportsCenter tonight for full post-game coverage from Pierre, I, and others tonight.